Let's take you straight to the markets, and local trade is expected to be mixed today. The JSE is fighting for gains and the rand trading firmer. The JSE All Share index falling about 0.5% to close flat, marking the second straight session of losses. Global market sentiment remaining subdued due to widespread disappointment over China's stimulus measures. Let's talk about it with Chantal Marx, who's the head of equity research at FNB Wealth and Investments. Good morning, Chantal. And as always, let's kick off with an overview of how the markets have opened this morning after closing Tuesday's session in the red.
Surprisingly positive this morning. I mean, if you look at sentiment overnight, it was still a little bit on the negative side. The US market coming under a little bit of pressure because of a tech sell-off. But this morning we've opened firmly in the green, and that really has been a function of really strong gains in Nasdaq and Prosus, or of a better performance by Tencent in Hong Kong this morning, as well as some support for the miners, particularly the platinum and palladium miners. Platinum and palladium prices have pushed up a little bit overnight and this morning, and that has provided a lot of support for those counters as well. On the negative side, though, there is still some pressure in some of the large caps like Richemont, as well as the small caps coming under a little bit of strain this morning.
Well, gold remaining above $2,100, while oil recovered slightly from some extended losses there. Talk us through what's driving those moves.
Yes, so the gold price really is well supported at the moment, and momentum is firmly to the upside. We know there's a lot of uncertainty globally currently, and gold kind of fits in naturally as a safe haven commodity and a safe haven investment. And surprisingly, we still haven't seen a lot of or major flows into gold investments kind of vehicles like ETFs and ETNs. And a lot of chatter around that in the market now, as perhaps suggestions that the gold price could push up even further and spurring investor optimism. Oil, I think, is a difficult one. It is quite volatile at the moment. We do have on the one side a prospect of strain on growth, particularly in China, that is weighing on sentiment. But then you also have geopolitical factors at play in the Middle East that could offer support for the oil price and a surprisingly resilient US economy. So I think that in the next few months, we'll continue to see those conflicting factors play out and ultimately determine where the oil price goes next.
So despite the lift in gold prices, Chantal, precious metals producer Sibanye-Stillwater announcing that it swung to a loss in the year to the end December. What's going on there? Yes, so Sibanye is exposed to gold, but also heavily exposed to platinum group metals, palladium and platinum. And their pricing has been exceptionally poor and exceptionally weak. And because of that, they've seen their revenue come under pressure. And because of high inflation, costs have been increasing quite a lot. So that put a lot of strain on profitability. They're also quite uncertain around the outlook for PGMs, platinum and palladium in particular. And as a result, they've actually written down some of their asset values because they're unsure whether or not those assets will be able to generate them good cash flows going forward if current pricing pressures persist. So those write-downs also had a meaningful impact on profits. Let's talk about platforms now. Meta platforms, Facebook and Instagram were down for hundreds of thousands of users yesterday. I know at home I had a frustrated bunch of people between my partner and my daughter who, use Facebook and Instagram. Fortunately, I don't really use either. What do we know about this blackout?
Yes, so I was also surprised by the blackout because it didn't impact WhatsApp, which is the platform that I use the most, and I'm also not that active on social media at the moment. But apparently people were really angry and talking about it on X, which of course isn't a Meta platform. So we had 1.5 hours where people were struggling to log in. Some of them thought that they were locked out of their accounts or hacked. So a lot of frustration from users. I think from a business perspective, the bigger worry is the impact on advertisers and the impact on advertising revenue during that down period. But I think in the broader scheme of things, 1.5 hours out of 365 days a year won't have as big a financial impact. And that's why we saw the share price only react marginally The share price was down about 1.5% overnight in the US, but the broader tech sector was under pressure. So I wouldn't read too much into that share price movement.
Chantal, thank you very much for that. You said it wouldn't have too much of a financial impact, but I can tell you it's had quite a bit of emotional impact in many households, or for many of those hundreds of thousands of users. Thanks so much for talking to us this morning. Appreciate you. Chantal Marx is the head of equity research at FNB Wealth and Investments. Appreciate you.